So, the summit has finally happened, and my day has been an absolute rollercoaster in every conceivable way. As you may know, I've had the honor of joining Devilion 7, Froob, and King Narukami from the Kamurocho Bros in a live hangout where we watched the summit. To say that it's been a pleasure would be an understatement of the century. I'll leave links to all of their socials in the top comments, and we'll talk a bit about the actual experience after we go through all of the new info that was revealed at this summit. If you want even more in-depth info, you can watch this video that I've done around a week ago. Also, sorry for my voice right now, I've been shouting with excitement for a very long time, as you can tell. Now, as for all of the info from today, let's start off with Gaiden. We got an extended look at both of the fighting styles, and I already can't wait to try them out. It was initially theorized that the Yakuza style would indeed be the Dragon Engine's version of the Dragon of Dojima style, but with the new footage, you can actually see a number of moves that were taken from Kiryu's Brawler style as well, or perhaps Kaito's Bruiser style, considering the engine differences. The expanded moveset flows beautifully in action, making this the most complete version of Kiryu's moveset in the engine to date, at least based on my personal observation. Obviously, it also has additional heat actions incorporated, and they look jaw-droppingly beautiful and brutal in action. Now, personally, I've actually been a big fan of Kiryu's combat in the Dragon Engine since day one, but the fact that we will actually get a mechanical culmination of everything that RGG learned over the years, most recently with the Judgment games, is something that is worthy of the highest praise. Assuming that this really becomes Kiryu's last beat-em-up entry, it's really poetic how he will close this chapter off by utilizing the Dragon style in its strongest form. Next up, we have an expanded showcase of the gameplay behind the Asian style. It has a solid counter, fluid mobility, some god-tier crowd control tools, from what we've seen with the electric wires. But the thing that blew everyone's mind was obviously the addition of drones. It was said that Kiryu would have many gadgets at his disposal, and that the drones would be more of a way to confuse enemies and do some chip damage. But the fact that they basically gave him the most important part of Amon's moveset from Yakuza 6 is genuinely genius. We already know that Kiryu was actually on pretty good terms with the clan after the fight in Yakuza 6, but we also saw Kiryu palling around with Shin in Yakuza 7, so I can only imagine the two of them specifically going out for drinks and then Shin just going, "Ah yeah man, you're a cool dude, here's a few of our Dewey keys on the house. Just please don't tell Joe, he's still pissed about the whole Kiryu clan not returning thing." As much as I love all of these additions, my absolute favorite part about the combat is the gargantuan level of enemies shown in every single encounter. If you played Devil May Cry 4 or 5, then you will probably say that this gives off heavy legendary Dark Knight mode vibes, and as a huge fan of Devil May Cry, I would like to formally thank whoever the beautiful designer was that said, yes, this is exactly what the game needs, even more enemies. Now, narratively, we didn't get too much new info, though all of the cast members that were present for the summit seem like genuinely lovely additions to the cast. But while we didn't get a synopsis, one very important thing to note was the name drop of the villain who was seen on top of the castle area. His name is Honmare Nishitani III. Now, first off, not only were the fan theories about Kim Jo-ek being involved here proven to be correct, but people have also started theorizing that Nishitani from Yakuza 0 had a son. Without opening that particular can of worms at this point in time, I would like to offer a less likely counter-argument here for the hell of it. Much like how Kurus Takeru was a pseudonym for the role of the Yomei Alliance chairman in Yakuza 6, or, for example, the premise behind the Fixer entity in the Daidoji faction, there is a possibility that the name Honmare Nishitani is a title for the person in charge of the Kijin clan, rather than just a personal name. This clan has served a similar purpose to the Omi Alliance, just as the Nikkyo Consortium did for the Tojo back in the day, even operating the bed of sticks as a whole. So this would be a cool way of bringing the group back into the series, as I thought both the Kijin and the Consortium showed great promise in Yakuza 0. But if none of that happens to be the case, we still need to handle the idea of Nishitani II becoming the new phantom figure of the series, akin to Nishikiyama's sister. Beyond that, the place where the new Nishitani resides was said to serve a similar purpose to the Osaka castle from Yakuza 2, at least conceptually. So it might be the new badass gauntlet intended specifically for Gaiden. And they've even described the castle area as a miniature city, so you can definitely expect me to go in with a magnifying glass and explore every nook and cranny once the game is released. And speaking of the use of a magnifying glass, it's time to address the tongue-in-cheek use of the various circles in the thumbnail. We didn't learn that much about Yakuza 8, or rather Like a Dragon 8, but not 8 in the West because we have this infinity symbol dash infinite wealth dash Honolulu. Wait, where was I going with this? Oh right, the proposals! And yes, you heard that right, proposals in plural form. During the powwow cinematic that was shown, it was revealed that Ichi proposed to Saiko. And the ship has sailed, except not really cause apparently things have gone south. Or rather west when you consider the beach trailer. Okay, anyway. The fact that we have a confirmed love interest for the main story is exciting enough. But then you also have the absolute hilarity of Ichiban asking Kiryu for love advice before trying to duck out because he doubts Kiryu's knowledge of that field, as it were. As if all of that wasn't enough, it was then revealed that Kiryu actually did propose to someone in the past. And right around the time that this very cutscene started fading into a flashback, presumably to show us who he proposed to and how he did it, the cinematic ended. As I was rewatching this, I was genuinely screaming into a pillow with frustration, but let's try and look at it objectively. The beach where Ichiban woke up with his Ichi buns that I can't show due to YouTube's Brood system was said to be located in Hawaii, which is in the United States. You know who else was in the United States? Well, you know, Joji Kazama was there, Ukiyo Tatsuya spent some time boxing in the US, but most importantly of all, Kaoru Sayama. The only other person that was shown to have a canon romantic relationship with Kiryu in the nearly 20-year-long history of this franchise. Keep in mind, the only other person to do so was Yumi, Haruka's mother. Now, we don't know the exact time frame of when Like a Dragon 8 will take place, but the possibility of Kaoru being involved is something to keep in mind. After all, the reason why Kaoru was absent for quite a while was partially due to the issues with her original seiyuu. But with Kiwami 2 under the belt and a new amazing voice actress at the helm, maybe it's time to conclude this relationship that was abruptly halted in Yakuza 3. A lot has changed in their lives since that moment. That being said, you will notice how I didn't speak too much on Ichiban's proposal, and that's partially because I know that there are people who are much better equipped than me to talk about that, like for example the lovely Pseudo Shell, arguably the biggest fan of Yakuza 7 on the planet. But back to the point. Considering one of the images that were shown even before this summit, where Ichi was wearing a classic black suit with his hair in a ponytail, maybe this misunderstanding between the two of them has been resolved by the end, and the final cinematic of Like a Dragon 8 actually ends with a wedding? I don't know, but the fact that we can theorize about it is already exciting enough for me to pre-order the game as soon as it's available. To conclude the segment on Like a Dragon 8, the idea of cleaning up the dissolution business was mentioned, so clearly there have been issues with the remnants of the Tojo clan and Omi alliance, which led to Kiryu and Ichiban joining together in this adventure. I mean, the entire conversation that they have is just heartwarming, not just because Ichiban and Nishiki have the same seiyuu, but because we have this sense of mentorship and friendship between them, kind of like with Dante and Nero in Devil May Cry 4, but feeling a lot more special given just how long we've been by these characters' sides over the years. Now, the final announcement from the RGG Summit was an RGG Summit. Yes, we may not have Nishitani II, but we do have RGG Summit 2023 II. It was set to take place in September, and seeing as the last one took place on the 15th of September, which is really close to my birthday, this was the perfect way to cap off the event in my eyes. Seeing as how this will also occur before even Gaiden releases, you can definitely expect some fine announcements in a few months. Maybe even the fabled Dead Souls Kiwami and Judgment 3. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Seeing as how I've shared my thoughts on the actual summit, I'd like to take a moment to talk about the context behind actually watching it live. Like I've said, I was invited to join some lovely gentlemen and commentate over the event, which wound up being my very first collaboration ever. And frankly, I couldn't have hoped for better people to join. I've been a fan of Leon's content long before I've started this channel, so that alone was a mind-blowing experience. I've watched a fair number of amazing speedruns by Froob leading up to this event as well, fittingly enough. And the various pieces done by King Narukami, both as part of the Kamurocho Bros and on his own, have genuinely been some of my favorite videos to watch as far as the newer Yakuza content goes. I cannot recommend their respective channels and content enough, as they've been as delightful to speak to as they've been in the videos and streams that they do. I've actually had a bunch of technical issues before I wound up joining the chat, and there's also the problem of having to wake up at 4 in the morning to set everything up for the summit, which, mind you, for me was situated at 5 AM, but everything taken into account, it was incalculably worth it. This event is what this series is all about for me. The sense of community, the genuine excitement. For the entirety of this stream, I couldn't help smiling. Not only because the 4 of us got together to watch it, but a number of my Twitter mutuals did the same with their closest friends and even some fellow content creators. I think there's something truly special about a series being capable of bringing that side out in people. So allow me to thank the people that have joined once again. And even more than that, thank you to everyone who subscribed here and watches my stuff. You're the reason why an opportunity like this presented itself at all. I'm sorry for being all mushy right now, but keep in mind, I've barely slept the night leading up to the summit, so I hope you'll understand where I'm coming from. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the summit as a whole. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to edit all of this into a video. So, until next time, take care of yourselves, and have a great day. Cheers!